Hey everybody, Matt here with FinBomb. We are down here in Everglades City today, going out with Everglades City Fishing Charters, working with Boca Bearings to find out if upgrading your bearings is worth it and what are the benefits. So for most people, bearings are something that you replace when they break. But for others trying to get peak performance out of their gear and use them as the best tool for the job, they want to improve their gear before they even go out fishing. So that's what we want to talk about today. One of the reasons why you might want to upgrade your bearings is if you're in a brackish or a saltwater environment and you're worried about corrosion. Or maybe you're in freshwater and maybe you're the guy that doesn't like to wash off his gear after a fishing trip and ends up repeatedly buying over and over and over new gear when you could have just washed it off. Some guys can't cast as far for whatever reason. Sometimes you can't cast far enough because the fish are just outside of your casting distance. So to increase your range of castability and increase that radius circle around your boat of where you can cast, then you would want to have a freer free spool and you'd want to have a longer cast. Another reason you might want to have smoother bearings or bearings that cast farther is you're not going to put the energy into swinging your rod and getting it to load up as much if they're going to have a better free spool. If they're going to cast with less resistance, maybe you don't have to load the rod up as much, which means you might be more accurate. So when you're working in tight little pockets, under trees, under ledges, at one certain point right where the fish are feeding right there, but not 5 feet out of it, you want to put it right inside of that target, you might want to just gently cast it in. And if you're really wrenching that cast, you're probably not being as accurate as possible. So these are some of the reasons why you might want to upgrade. I've already upgraded this reel with the Boca Bearings. To be honest, I've made a couple casts. So far, it's pretty cool. It is a much freer free spool. It does cast farther with less effort. So let's get on the water and check it out. Okay, it's time to check our drag and check our leaders, but what I really have to do is talk to Captain Brandon. A cold front just came through and it's made the fish a little harder to find. So once we find a spot that looks fishy, we're gonna make a few casts, see if we can hook up on a fish, but also test out these bearings.
It sound right, boys.
All right, so we're out here testing the Boca Bearings, hybrid ceramics, and so far they're doing really, really well. A lot of sensitivity because there's less rolling resistance, so I can feel every single crank and every single wobble of my bait back and forth as I walk the dog. So now let's see just straight casting, kind of like lugging, using the weight but loading the rod properly, and doing it with as little muscle as possible to get the longest cast. So here we go. Pretty darn good, pretty darn smooth. So casting here in the mangroves is all about accuracy. You want to get your lure about 2 inches in front of the first mangrove leaf so it drops right under the structure and you can retrieve that lure back, pulling out the fish that you want to catch. So by loading the rod properly with the right size bait, I'm going to see just how close I can get to the structure that I want to hit without having to horse the bait.
It's super easy to put the lure right where you want with minimal effort. Now let's see if we can go catch some fish.
Oh, biter!
So, since this is a gear test, I'm going to go ahead and put all the odds against me and change the rod with different reels, with different line, with different weights of lures. What that's going to show me is just how free the spool really is, which is critical for when I do have the correct rod and reel combo set up with line and lure, I'll be able to get maximum casting distance.
All right, so this combo couldn't be any worse. This is a 7-foot lighter rod, and I've got 65-pound braid on an old Daiwa Lexa 300HS. But the cool thing is, we're trying to do a gear test. This reel I have used for, I don't know, 8 years. Heavy saltwater abuse on a kayak from the shore, every which way. It's probably been dunked 25 times. The bearings were gone. I mean, literally just retrieving this line sounded like I was running over a tractor with a helicopter. So I've replaced the bearings out. They're super smooth. Maybe this isn't the best combo for casting, but the reel is brand new again. It's ready to go and fish. If I put it with the right rod, I'm gonna be in good shape.
So after patiently watching me test out these bearings with different rods and different reels and different lures, Captain Brennan wants to throw a few himself and see what he can catch.
Nice little baby jack. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little stress testing. This rod is an inshore rod for fish that are somewhere between 10 and 25 pounds. This reel can also handle the same. This lure is very small, way undersized. So I'm gonna see if I can kind of treat this rod like a broomstick and see how it casts, really seeing just how good the lower rolling resistance is and how much it'll take the lure out with it instead of me having to have that rod load up. Not bad at all. Okay, so one of the reasons why you'd ever want to upgrade your bearings is for increased sensitivity to the actual lure, to sense a strike, and to see how your bait's swimming, whether it's a crankbait or a worm, it doesn't really matter. You want to feel it through the water. No, ladyfish. Lady tarpon. Okay, so if you want to see what the orange seal Boca Bearing hybrids look like, I'm going to take off this side plate on the tranks. And that's exactly what they look like. The orange seal keeps out most of the water, grime, dirt, sand, etc., and has a little bit of an opening enough to not slow down the bearing. Oh, that's a good one. Ripper.
It sound right, boy.
Well, we got a decent jack, super fun jack. It's not always the size of the fish, but it's the fight and it's the enjoyment of being on the water. Got to test out these Boca Bearings. They're super awesome. Captain Brennan Acosta pulling it in the 9th inning. All right, we had a great day on the water. We got to make a ton of casts. We caught multiple species. I wanted to take the time to end this video in a productive way and give you my honest opinion of whether the hybrid bearings from Boca Bearings are worth buying and installing or not. I would say absolutely they are. I can say that with all honesty after installing them myself and making a lot of casts and catching fish with them. They are worth it. It only takes about 20 minutes to install. They're gonna give you a much longer cast and a more accurate cast, and they're also gonna be more corrosion resistant, which is a huge performance advantage that all of us anglers wanna have, because if our gear breaks, our day is over and we stop fishing. So, thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.